Here's a crazy idea for you to consider. Have you ever thought about taking a mini retirement? Now, follow me here for a minute. Last year, the Wall Street Journal did a piece that broke down how retirees spend their time. It's essentially a preview of what you would expect after 40 years of working the 9-to-5 grind. Now, based on their reporting, here is what most of us can expect. 9 hours of sleeping, 6 hours of relaxing and leisure, 5 hours of TV. But wait, it gets better. 34 minutes of reading, 31 minutes of socializing, 17 minutes of exercise, and 10 minutes of volunteer work. And many people think about retirement down the road as this idealized, deferred life. And then you see these numbers and it's just a bit depressing. So in this video, I'll push back on that deferred life plan and I'll point us to some other research about how others actually make the most of their retirement and how you can do the same. Hey, if we haven't ever met, I'm Steve Willems. I'm a wealth advisor with the Willems Wealth Planning Group out here in BC. We started this channel to help you plan for your own retirement, helping you think about how to plan and arrange your investments, your income streams, and ideally pay less tax along the way. So let's hop back into that Wall Street Journal report. It's pretty wild. You work, you save your whole life because you're promised that at the end of all that sacrifice is a pot of gold, freedom, leisure, happiness. You have visions of golf, fun vacations, family time, but then you see these numbers. The reality for most people is that much of their retirement turns into watching TV by yourself. Now, this is backed up by this incredible chart from Our World in Data, which shows that time alone stepping up, time with coworkers understandably stepping down, and shockingly, time with children also phasing down too. The sandwich generation shown in a single graph. Now, I'm not pointing this out to be depressing. Retirement can be and should be a wonderful period of your life. As a team of wealth advisors, we spend our entire professional lives helping people achieve just that. But it's important to factor the value of time into that retirement equation. Would you rather have a year of retirement when you're 75 or right now when you're still healthy, your kids are younger, and you've got more friends around? For most people, the answer is right now, but they don't know if they can afford it or the logistics of how it would even work. So they just keep on working, they keep on saving, and they keep on delaying gratification just to be safe. That's why it's so important to have a living, breathing financial plan. A financial plan that's going to tell you where you stand today. It's also going to tell you where you're likely to be in 5, 10, or 20 years. Obviously, with a pile of best guesses used as inputs to make that analysis. But only once you know that can you make the decision of how best you can maximize your limited time. Now, from that plan, maybe you realize that you can afford to take a mini retirement of several months or maybe even a few years before you retire for good. Maybe it means you decide to retire a few years earlier than you planned to, or maybe it's just simply decide to become more intentional about the free time that you do have. Who knows what you'll decide? It all starts from that plan, though. So let's say you are interested in that idea of a mini retirement, a sabbatical of sorts. More than the 2 weeks that you normally take to get down to Cabo, but deliberate, intentional, unplugged time off. How would you do it? What are the steps? I'll suggest that there are 4 that you should probably be thinking about. Now, first, you'll want to perform a financial assessment to confirm if this is feasible and that your situation has a degree of stability which will allow this type of planning. There's a financial independence ladder with steps on it. And we often think that a choice like this is essentially exchanging dollars for time. Now, to do that exchange, you have to have the dollars to make that exchange. So in this financial assessment, you're going to want to confirm the cost to the long-term plan of making that mini retirement happen. There will be a cost, right? So reduced savings over that period, perhaps higher spending, perhaps drawing down on some assets. And that may be all well and good. We just don't want surprises. So let's start with that high-level assessment. Then step 2, you'll actually want to make a budget. And so here's where the nuance and the details certainly going to come into play. The travel expenses, living cost, lost income. What will you do with your home? What fixed costs can be turned off while you're living out and abroad in this season? Will you need to move your stuff into storage? Now, one way to defray some of the costs is to use a home exchange program with other international families. They come here, you go there. We've seen this work really, really well for some of our clients in the past. It's actually brought meaningfully down the costs of running a lifestyle change like this. But also for that pre-sabbatical period, what are ways to reduce some core expenses leading up to this season? And how much do you need to be saving in advance leading up to this sabbatical? Now, third, once you've done the assessment and you've built out a budget, you'll want to think about alternative income strategies. So are there any revenue sources or income taps that you can activate to help ease the adjustment? Perhaps it's a side gig, a hobby that you could potentially do profitably if you didn't have your main job requiring your 9 to 5. Here we've also seen people who enjoy history. Perhaps they'll integrate kind of paid tour guiding into their mini retirements, where they'll give educational talks on cruise ships and they'll earn some side income while they're also traveling and seeing the world. We've got others who enjoy photography and they'll incorporate some revenue generating activities into that work, again, while they're traveling. It could also be taking 1 or 2 short consulting jobs while you're off. Say if you're an engineer or some other type of professional, enough for 4 hours of work a week, but not so much commitment that you're unable to actually unplug. Of course, you'll also want to see if your existing capital assets can be converted into something capable of producing passive income for you. So perhaps assets inside a non-registered account that could be optimized in part to increase interest income or maybe dividends. And finally, you'll want to run this plan past a financial planner before you hit that green button. There needs to be someone in your corner who will help you find the blind spots in the plan that you're designing, the things that you're just not going to be thinking about because you're inside the fishbowl. It could be inadvertent impacts to your tax residency status, loss of employment benefits, effects on your pension, CPP, or work, maybe an impact on your career trajectory, non-resident real estate issues, or even plans around re-entry. A second set of eyes should just help you round out your thinking. And the key in this season of life is about being intentional with your time, your health, and your money that you've got. If you've been banking on the deferred life plan as the default option simply because you couldn't think about what could be, this mini retirement is probably something you should explore. It'll give you the headspace, the freedom to get outside of the day-to-day grind of recurring responsibilities and think clearly about what you actually want your life to look like. Hey, if you'd like a hand thinking creatively about this or even help building one of those plans that I talked about, we set aside a few time slots every single week to help people get answers to those questions. And so if you'd like to snag one of those times, I'll put a link in the description below. That's all for now. I hope this was helpful. If it was, I would appreciate you smashing that like button and making sure that you subscribe to stay in the loop as we continue to talk about all things retirement. We've got a couple awesome videos coming up over the next couple of weeks, and I want to make sure you don't miss those things. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.